Hey there, everyone. I'm Don, Professor Goway, and welcome to the Industry Insiders webinar series by Goway. Hear from expert guests, including conservationists, explorers, tourism professionals, and everyday globetrotters to discover fascinating stories in the world of travel and be inspired to travel far and travel often. Now, today we're doing something very, very special. I'd like to welcome, I wouldn't say from the other side of the world, but pretty close to it, Azzedine, Marie, and Moira Smith. Azzedine and Marie Banuna are our in-country operators for Morocco, and Moira, who is sitting there in the sunglasses because it's very hot in Morocco at the moment. She just told me it's about 33 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, our American partners. I'm sorry.
95.
It's hot. There you go, 95. Thank you, Azzedine. 95 degrees in Morocco. And you guys are in Marrakech at the moment, is that correct?
We are in Marrakech.
Okay, so we're speaking to all three of them, as I say, live from Morocco. And naturally, we're going to talk all things Morocco. But just before we get going, brief little sort of overview or history on it. Morocco is a vibrant country in North Africa, North Africa. Now, I'm really good on geography, but that was a big
You are in North America.
Yeah, I'm in North America. They're in North Africa. And that's where Morocco is. It's known for its rich history, diverse culture, and, of course, its stunning landscapes, which we'll delve into in a minute. As with most of North Africa, it is currently and was historically dominated by the Islam faith, which reached Morocco in about 680 AD. And it was then pushed out, Islam was then pushed out in the mid-1400s by Christianity. So it's been a crossroads of warring factions and exploration and travel for basically for millennia. And I believe, Azzedine and Marie, there's actually a couple of cities in Morocco which still belong to Spain, which came from those particular colonial disputes, let's say. Is that correct? And if so, what are those cities?
Two enclaves in north of Morocco, Ceuta and Melilla, on the Mediterranean.
Right, and they're actual Spanish territory, correct?
And they are Spanish territory.
Right,
and tell that to Moroccans.
Right, yes, of course. So that makes Spain with the only European borders within the African continent, which is pretty interesting in itself. So we're going to talk all things Morocco today. So I just mentioned, although I faux-parted, it's in North Africa. So, Azzedine or Marie, what are your neighbours, or more to the point, where exactly in North Africa are you located, and in turn, who are your neighbours in North Africa?
Well, our borders from north is Mediterranean, where actually it meets at one point in Tangiers with the Atlantic Ocean. That's towards the west, north and west. Then east we have Algeria, and the south we have Mauritania.
Okay, so there are obviously Mediterranean waters on the coast of Morocco as well as the Atlantic, as Azzedine just mentioned. And how far is it across to Spain through the Strait of Gibraltar?
It's about 9 miles away, crossing the Mediterranean. So it takes, if you take a ferry, about 40 minutes. If the fast one, if you take the regular one, it's about an hour and 30 minutes.
Okay, so obviously Moira, country combinations of Spain and Morocco would be a big opportunity. So you could probably, can you walk on, walk off on the ferries?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, and of course, Moira, then obviously our self-driving options. I know you don't look after Europe, but in partnership with our Europe department.
Absolutely, and in actual fact, so Spain is the natural one, but we also see a lot of combinations with Portugal too.
Correct.
Of course, because that's also just across on the Iberian Peninsula as well.
Yes.
Naturally. So indirectly, you have Spain and Portugal as nearby neighbours, though not on the North African or not on the African continent itself.
Yep.
So let me ask this to Moira. Moira, why are you in Morocco and I'm sitting here in Toronto in a basement?
Because I'm very lucky.
You are.
But I've actually been... I've been attending a trade fair called Pure, which is all about wonderful high-end experiential products from all around the world. And it truly has been a fantastic week with wonderful events held at different Morocco properties over the last 3 nights. And now it's the highlight of my stay because I'm staying at the Banunas farm, which is something a lot of our clients are able to do. And literally, once they've done the whole of Morocco, or even if they've just been visiting Marrakech, which is absolutely wonderful. It's vibrant, but it's noisy and full of color and full of things to do. And then you come to the Banana Farm and it's a retreat, and you literally relax. You're looking at the high Atlas Mountains. There's a place to sit, to swim, to relax, have a lovely tea ceremony, and then you finish up in the afternoon with a wonderful cooking class hosted by Azadine, who used to have 3 Moroccan restaurants in New York.
Oh, that's right. I remember when I met Azadine when he was here in North America last year for our Africa event, which is coming up. Plug that yes, you're a chef in the past. Yes. So just a couple of things on that. So Pure, I actually thought it was an African focused event, but you're saying it's a worldwide luxury travel show. Is that
worldwide,
correct?
Yeah.
And it's been held in Morocco annually, correct?
Yes, that's right.
So why was Morocco chosen for a worldwide luxury event? I would assume by extension that Morocco has a lot of luxury options on hand as well.
It does, and I'd love to get into that more. But one of the main reasons is because it's got fantastic event space, and then for these wonderful lavish parties, they've got fantastic properties from La Mamounia to the Oberoi to the Sofitel, where they can actually host up to 2,000 people. So it's a really, really good option. What I love about Morocco, so I've just talked about some of the really, really high-end, beautiful, enormous hotels. But what's so special is the smaller riad, and they've got riads of all different tastes. And maybe you can explain what a riad is, Azreen.
Yeah, and also to add to what Moira was saying about Morocco destination, it's a very popular destination out of Europe. And a lot of European countries make it as an extension to their products there. Obviously, it's becoming more and more popular outside of North America. That's why Pure have chosen this destination. Going back to Riyadh, Riyadh are the old houses that Moroccans used to live in, and I myself grew up in a Riyadh, and usually it's a house with a middle little square in the middle, surrounded by the rooms, and usually it consists of about 2 to 3 levels of the house, because it goes from the ground up high. So usually in the bottom, like living rooms and the kitchen and the hangout area for the family, and then upstairs the first and the second floor, depends how rich is the family is, are for their private rooms and like bedrooms and things like that. So those houses, or rather riads, were some kind of abandoned when the French left. So the Moroccans start moving to the new area of the cities, like Marrakech and Fez and Rabat, etc., because the Moroccans wanted to imitate the French living in modern houses, sort of villas and apartments, and this kind of abandoned those houses. But over 20 years ago or so, they became trendy. People are coming back to the old part of the city and taking over those riads, restoring them, and then the government stepped in or organized them in sort of like running them like almost hotels.
And what
So,
I
oh,
need
sorry, go on.
to add that the Riyadh has an internal court with a fountain, like lots of trees. So it's really like beautiful
pretty.
inside the Riyadh.
Yeah.
Yes.
So are the riads owned and run by locals? Are they hotels? Are they a bit of both? So I guess what I'm asking is, if you choose a riad stay, be it a long term or a short term, would you be staying with a traditional, not a traditional family, with a local family, or is it a hotel? Or as I just mentioned, it's a choice of either?
Well, normally because as I mentioned, turn to be organized such as hotels. Most of them, I would say, are owned now by the Europeans, mainly like French, English, and some Italians, and then but hiring locals to rent them for them because they want
Okay.
to give that the local traditional aspect of life in them. So the foreigners or customers, when they come, they feel they are in a traditional Moroccan house.
Okay. So it is still a traditional experience, even though it
Correct.
might be foreign owned or
Yes.
foreign run as such.
Right.
Okay, then. Now, the other thing, just back to what Moira was touching on before, she did sort of mention, I guess, off screen to the left. So we won't turn the camera, but just off screen to where our three guests are sitting in Marrakech is the Atlas Mountains in the background, which we'll get into those in a minute. But also what Moira mentioned too, with the fact that Pura is in Marrakech, would be really relevant for anyone looking for any group travel, of course, or any large event space in a exotic destination. So obviously groups out there, groups, travel agents, Morocco is a very good option, as you can see why, because they're holding the events there every year. Now I'm going to jump around a bit here a bit, but this sort of segues nicely into something Moira mentioned to us off camera is I'll ask this question, how to get to Morocco. Now, one of the gateways, I'm going to preempt your answer, is New York. So Moira, or anyone there, Maria or Azadine, I understand it's a direct flight from New York and it's a very short flight, so which opens the way to Morocco being, I wouldn't say a weekend getaway, but definitely a quick week getaway from the east coast of the US. Is that correct?
Very much so. In fact, it's a 6.5 hour flight from New York, but similarly, it's a 6 hour flight from either from Montreal into either Casablanca or Marrakech. So really, it's something that you can go for a week or obviously a much longer period, but it's closer than Europe.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So there you go. That's a good sort of way of thinking of it. It's closer than Europe. So if anyone's coming, say, from West Coast, LA, Vancouver, I would assume are the direct flights from that side, or is it in to New York and or
Yeah, it's
Montreal then out?
only to New York, Montreal, and very soon Toronto. As
Oh,
I
nice.
mentioned in the beginning, that Morocco is becoming popular as well for North Americans. So the international air before it was only the Moroccan airline serving the destination, but there are many international flights or airlines are stepping in and programming the destination. So lately we started seeing New York Marrakech added to New York Casablanca, which was the traditional flight. Then out of the United States, always Washington D.C., Miami, and Boston. So out of New York is almost not almost, but it's a daily flight. But
Okay.
Washington, Boston, and Miami, 4 or 5 flights a week. Then we have Montreal on a daily flight. Very soon, we're going to start having the Toronto flight as well. So the West Coast, I'm sorry, Moira, but the West Coast, they have to come via the East Coast to
One of the East Coast gateways.
Right.
Okay.
But another
Moira?
option, which I have done previously, is you can fly directly from pretty much any point in the US via Europe. So you could fly into Paris, for example, or to Amsterdam, and then fly directly into Morocco. So there are many different ways to come.
Yeah. So as Moira mentioned, you can do the Europe option, which will give you stays, or again, if you choose your flight this way, you can have a stopover in one of those European countries. Obviously, we mentioned earlier on that Spain and or Portugal would be good as a gateway in, but also as a stopover, because you could then, if you chose to, you could self-drive yourself into Morocco or vice versa, coming home that way as well. Okay, so the flights are about 6.5 hours. Now, one thing I've always been curious about, there are two main gateways, Casablanca and Marrakech. Is that correct?
Yeah, the Casablanca is still considered like the hub. Marrakech is an international airport, and getting most of the flights coming out of Europe. The as I mentioned, also we have the North Americans start coming.
Starting to
Yeah,
come
yeah, exactly.
inside
Lately, correct.
Okay, so what's the airport code for Casablanca?
Casablanca, Mohammed V.
CMN.
No, yeah.
Mohammed Sang.
What was it? Sorry, Marie. What was the code? The
Oh,
three-letter code?
it's CMN.
Yeah.
Yes.
CMN. And I just asked
Marrakech
Casper.
Marrakesh.
is RAK.
Yeah, Marrakesh.
RAK.
Yes.
RAK. Okay. Now, with itinerary design, I've often seen either start finish Casablanca, start finish Marrakech, and very often an open jaw situation where they're into one city and out of the other. Is there an advantage to doing open jaw versus in and out of the same city? Does it matter? Is it easy to, like, if you finish in the north of the country to get back south, or south of the country to get back north?
So I'll jump in, and I'm going to then defer to the experts, but quite a lot of our programs actually start in Casablanca, and then they do this wonderful circuit, and then they finish in Marrakesh. And absolutely, you can continue on to Casablanca, but you don't need to, because you can fly out of Marrakesh, and it saves the drive or the short flight.
Yeah.
Right. So the open jaw setup is a common enough one that it shouldn't scare off travel agents or clients when they look at that. Correct?
That's correct. And also it depends if they're coming via Europe and they need to come back through that option. So we can always use the ferry and out of North City, which is Tangiers, to Algeciras for that. The answer that Moira gave was absolutely right. I just needed to add a little bit that is not a convenient problem transferring the customers from Marrakech to the airport, even in case they fly or they opt to fly to Casablanca and out of Casablanca, because it's only 2.5 hours drive out of Marrakech. So it's a very easy transfer.
Okay. So on that note, how big is Morocco, excluding the southern area, which is debated? Let's not go there. But for the sort of the main area of Morocco, what's the distance north to south, east to west?
To be honest, I don't know the
Well, roughly, like
Yeah.
is there a comparable
Maybe
size to it?
Google.
Yeah, well, of course I can Google and I'll throw up a map. But okay, let me ask it in an easy way. Is it a big country or a small country?
It's a big country. It's almost twice the size of France.
That's what I needed to hear.
And
Perfect.
it's
Okay.
almost 1.5 the state of Texas. But I just want to jump in as a Moroccan, even though I'm American as well. But as Moroccan, we really like to hear that Morocco includes the Sahara. As you said, it's debatable, but Morocco controls actually the place, and it's powerful countries start recognizing the part of it, which is the United States, started first. Then now everybody's following. The latest one was France, which is a very important country for Morocco to recognize the territory.
Okay, so that, for people who may not know, and I will be throwing up some visuals here, maps and whatnot, this is the southern area of what Azzedin's saying is Morocco. Other people say otherwise. And this area is the Sahara. So on that note, let's take that without upsetting people. Let's accept that is part of Moroccan territory. So you have the Sahara Desert, you have the Atlantic coast, you have the Mediterranean coast, and as Moira mentioned earlier in the interview, you have the Atlas Mountains. So from a geographical point of view, I've just covered, you have sea, desert, and mountains. What other aspects geographically of Morocco make it an attractive destination?
The history of Morocco, because you just mentioned the landscape, actually with the geographic part of the country, but the history and the culture of Morocco is rich also. It's one of the biggest reasons people come to visit Morocco. Morocco goes back, far in the centuries ago, and also the multi part of the country between the Jewish, the Arabs, the Muslims, the Berbers. So it all made and still making one a person, which is the Moroccan actually identity.
Okay, so again, we touched on historically it was predominantly, or still is, Muslim faith, but you've mentioned there's a Jewish influence as well as a Christianity or Christian influence as well. When people think Africa, again, it's a continent, not a country, but Africa has so many different areas. We have obviously where we're talking about North Africa, you have Central, West, Eastern, and then Southern. Most people when they hear Africa, immediately think of either two things. They think of Northern Africa and Egypt, which, correct me if I'm wrong, Moira, from our world, Goway's world, from a responsibility, or not responsibility, but from a geographic, we push that into Middle East from a selling point of view, correct?
Correct.
Even though geographically it is North Africa. Most people think wildlife, excluding Egypt, of course. So let me ask two questions, which you sort of answered there with the cultural aspect of it. When you go to Morocco, are you looking for, do you have available a wildlife experience? I know it won't be the same as Eastern or Southern for sure, but is there wildlife opportunities in Morocco?
No, it's not something that we have actually in Morocco at all. So it's more, as we mentioned, for its culture and geographical position in on the world map.
Yes.
Okay, but due to its sorry, Marie, go on.
You can do trekking or like things like that, but there's no like safari or things like
Yes.
that.
Right.
here
Okay.
in Morocco.
So yeah, that was going to be my follow up. So if it's not the wildlife, obviously the culture is, I think, one of the things that makes Morocco famous. But the other thing I know it to be famous for is its outdoor opportunities. And as you just mentioned, Marie, trekking, and obviously the Atlas Mountains is a very, very popular one. But what other, I guess, it can be extreme adventure or soft adventure. What other activities can someone look at doing when they're in Morocco?
So can I jump in?
Yes.
Yeah. So I would like to say that my last trip here, and I've been lucky enough to come a few times, but what I hadn't realized, so I literally only had a few days, and Marrakech is always a wonderful place to come and visit, for the medinas, for the shopping, for the food, for so many things. But just on the outskirts of Morocco, in fact, Marie and I took a wonderful drive. We went down to a seaside village called Essaouira, but en route, we stopped at this wonderful wine farm. And I did not know this about Morocco. We tasted the most wonderful reds, whites, orange, and grey, which is like very light rosé, fantastic. And then we also got to explore the actual winemaking facilities, and we had a wonderful, wonderful lunch under the trees, which was fantastic. And then we also went to a women's cooperative, an argan oil cooperative run by a woman, for women, and it was just fantastic. And we happened to arrive there on a Friday, which I didn't know. And apparently on Fridays, the Moroccans are so generous. So what they do is they prepare a huge amount of food for anybody who doesn't have. So I had some fabulous couscous there. In fact, my nickname is Fatima Couscous. And then we went on to Essaouira, which is a wonderful seaside town. And in fact, it's known for artists and for just all sorts of different crafts, but it's also got a fantastic history. And then, of course, there's the normal things you do at the seaside. You can have a beach stay. So, and that's just around Marrakech. That's
Yes,
Right.
that's and also there's a lot of activities you can do. Like it can be cultural, it can be like very active, like things you can do. Paragliding, you can surf on the sand. Like there's so many things you can do in Morocco.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me throw a few activities. Can you go snorkeling and or diving in and around Morocco? I would assume on the Mediterranean coast?
No, that's
No,
what we
really?
have. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, that's
Interesting.
all.
Okay. Trekking, you mentioned obviously Atlas Mountains is a big one. I guess a
But
classic.
excuse me if I can
Yes, of course.
add something, but you can ski in Morocco.
You can ski.
There you go. Ski as in not the sand hills, but the actual snow.
That's true.
Yeah.
And
There
we
you
are
go.
only an hour and 15 minutes from where our sitting right now. There is a ski resort, and then there is one a little bit more upscale and complicated near Fez and Meknes area. So we call it Michelin area. So the this a little bit more sophisticated. So you can actually ski.
How would the ski hills compare to North America? Because the Americans and the Canadians have the Rockies,
Yes.
and Denver and stuff like that. So would they be disappointed if they are if they're an avid skier? Would they be disappointed with the hills in Morocco?
You won't be disappointed, but like comparing the heavyweight champion to an amateur guy who's trying to be a champion.
But I tell you what, sitting in the pub or the bar one night saying I skied in Africa, now that'd be worth it, even if the hill was a
that
smaller
would
hill.
be absolutely
Yes.
yes,
Exactly. A classic image of Morocco, and you've mentioned the Sahara Desert, are camel rides or camel treks. I assume that's an option for anyone in
Mhm.
Morocco from, I guess, an hour to a half day to, is there anything longer, like a true expedition camelback, if anyone wanted that?
Definitely, you can do that, but because Morocco is a very become like or it's been for a while now a tourist destination, so they converted that because in history, yes, the nomads used to go like far with their camels and so they started minimizing or making that a little bit more tricks for tourists, so you can go for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, but no longer than that actually,
Oh, really?
because if you are
So
not really a nomad, you'll get tired after 30 minutes.
you
And
get
Don, I
tired,
will
so
attest to that because I did a 30-minute camel ride this morning, which was lovely at the start of it, and I was very happy to be off it. And in actual fact, it's the second camel ride I've done in Morocco. The other one was when we went deep into the desert, and it was wonderful. We actually spent an overnight in the desert, and
that
that's
was my
just
next question. Yeah, okay.
yeah, that's a lovely, lovely experience for people to do, to add. So you've got, you mentioned the landscapes and the complete diversity of landscapes, and that lends itself to a complete diversity of activities.
Right. So there is some glamping opportunities in the desert in Morocco as part of your itinerary. Wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, then.
Mm.
So from a layman's point of view, the big cities known would be Marrakech, Fez, Rabat, and Casablanca, of course. Is that all someone on a first trip would need to see or want to see? Tell me what there. Like, I know this is an open-ended question. What else there is to see and do in Morocco? But okay, let me start that again. Moira and or Azadine or Marie, what would be the key circuit route that a first-time visitor should look at doing, and someone going back for the second or third or probably Moira's 15th time? What should they be looking to add on, to get away from what they've seen and done?
So I'm going to defer to Azadine and Marie, but in my world and Happy is typically they do the imperial cities, which is a shorter trip, and then when they come back,
Which city? Sorry, Moira, which
The imperial
classifies the
cities
imperial?
she was referring to, the imperial cities are the Rabat, which is the actual capital of Morocco.
Okay.
Fez, the Fez is the oldest imperial city of Morocco. When the Arabs invaded Morocco, that was the first city they really founded. Meknes, which is a nearby or Fez sister, I would say, it's only like 40 minutes away from Fez. It was used only by one king that called Moira Ismail. I don't know what the reason why he chose to be there, but Marrakech also. Mainly Marrakech was the capital of three big, powerful dynasties, and most of them are Berbers. The ones that were in Fez more Arabs. The one that was in Marrakech were morely. So that's why we call them imperial cities. And Moira is right. If somebody is coming for the first time to Morocco, and I'll add to that a little bit, if they stay in a short time in Morocco, which is like say a week or so, that will be a good introduction to visit Morocco.
Okay, then.
And then, Don, just from a long
yes.
point of view, and if you have a look at some of our itineraries, we've got everything from a 7-night to a 14-night, and of course, you could even do longer. But then you get to be able to include things like Chefchaouen, which is known as the Blue City, or the desert, which is really, really great. And if you wanted to finish up in the mountains, as an example, and go and spend at a Casbah in the High Atlas Mountains, would be a wonderful way to finish up. There's so much, so it's difficult to talk about the definitive longer itinerary because there's just so
There
much
is so much
on
of
offer.
course.
When
Moira,
you were like asking your question, I was thinking, oh, you have to come to Morocco at least
Here
3
we go.
times.
Here we go.
Yeah,
Very
well,
true.
Because
It's very
you
true.
can do the north part of the country. You can do like just the south with the desert and the mountains and the Berbers, and the living with the locals and things like that. You go like on the Atlantic side where you can have like a nice vacation with like always this cultural thing that Morocco brings all the time with like its rich culture.
But I need also to add, if now it depends where you're coming from. If you're coming from Europe, for instance, sometimes we have clients coming, the Goway sent customers via Europe where their main destination is Europe, but they want to add little flavor to their tour for 3-4 days. Then they hop up to Morocco. So we can offer, and Moira mentioned Chefchaouen, which is in north near the Mediterranean, an amazing blue city, we call it. That's the nickname because everything is painted in blue. Then there is Tangier that is known for its history and also for their connection with Europe and mainly with the United States, because that's the first place where America owned a building in the whole world. So it's and also known for literature, people of literature, writers and movie how do you call that artists and etc. So they can hop up there for like 3-4 days. Add to that like one little town which is say Fez or Rabat to have the flavor of the imperial city, and they go back to Europe.
Okay, so I guess in all that, what we're hearing is that you can visit, or should visit Morocco more than once, because there's like any country, there's the core sights and sounds to see. Then there's the outskirts, for want of a better term, and then so you've got short stays, a long stay being 2 weeks maybe, and then you've got the add-ons. If Europe is your main focus, basically, as Azadine pointed out there, you can do these 2 or 3 add-ons to a European trip. Moira, do we have, or would you recommend as in your role, a long stay in Morocco? Is that an option?
It certainly could be. It's not something we've really developed, but I mean, to escape from the winter in North America, absolutely, Morocco would be a wonderful place to stay, spend a longer time, maybe on one of the beaches.
Right. Okay. So as an extension of that question, let's just work if someone was considering Morocco as a long stay. What's the main language spoken in Morocco?
We speak Arabic. It's the main language. The Berber is a recognized official language in the Moroccan constitution since 2011. French is widely spoken, especially in the business part of it, like dealing with the banks and administration and things like that. Most of the correspondences and conversation are in French.
Okay, so
English becoming a very useful language for the last 15 minutes or so. So because of, mainly for commerce and technical language.
So if someone is either there for a long stay or they do some independent travel before or after a fantastic Goway itinerary, getting around and communicating, would that be an issue for anyone?
If they speak French or English or both, they won't have a problem.
Wonderful. Okay, well, that's good for our any of our French Canadian listeners or agents out there as well. What's the official currency of Morocco, please?
It's dirham.
Dirham. Okay, and do you know what the latest exchange rate is to the US dollar, just to give our listeners an idea?
It's about 9 to 9.50 round this time, but it could reach like 3-4 months ago was up to 10.50 or so. Okay. So, but the minimum I've ever seen since I'm in this business is around 8.
Okay, on average 8. Moira, compared to other African countries, be it East, South, Central, or North, would you consider, or would you tell our traveling clients or agents that it is an expensive destination, cheap destination, affordable?
No, I think it's very,
how would you
very
position
affordable.
Very affordable?
Very affordable. But by the same token, if you are wanting a really, really upmarket experience, there are some of the most magnificent hotels I've ever stayed at. And some of them, in fact, all of my favorites are these upmarket riads. And then you will spend a little bit more. But on average, somebody who's looking to spend 2 weeks, it's really affordable.
Okay. So we touched on earlier with the fact that Pure is held there and what Moira just said with accommodation in general, but also the riads as well. But from anyone who's budget conscious, I would assume Morocco offers everything from the 3 and we know up to the 5-star.
100%.
Yes? Okay, then. Safety and security. A lot of people might lump, a North African country into political issues that are happening a long way away in the Middle East. But, it's a fair question. Is safety and security an issue in Morocco for anyone, be it with a group or traveling independently?
I certainly have never felt unsafe here, and I have been back a number of times. No, I definitely wouldn't say so.
Okay, wonderful.
The Moroccans,
yes.
They are very welcoming, and they are happy to see foreigners, tourists coming to their country. So they are just warm, and you feel that when you are in everywhere in Morocco.
And also what makes Morocco unique and different from the Middle Eastern countries is all the neighbors, I would say, to enlarge the stability of the regime and the stability of the social life, even though we have the Berbers and the Arabs and the Jewish, but we all live together in a very peaceful, because Moroccans or Moroccan nature is really more into peace and stability.
Yeah, because I don't think in all my time, I'm a bit of a history buff and sort of follow politics and stuff. I don't think I've ever heard of any political instability or issues in Morocco for the longest time. So I sort of knew the answer to that, but I thought I had to ask it anyway. Being a Muslim country, what's the situation with alcohol consumption? And as an extension to that, I would assume, and I do know the answer to this question, but I'll let you basically shout it from the hilltops, the cuisine options in Morocco.
We've just finished our glasses of wine.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, Moira had 2. I had 2.
Only 2, Moira. You're doing well.
Which is unusual for me.
We're still lunchtime. We're not talking about the evening yet.
Yeah.
So yes, you're right. It's a Muslim country. There are a few restrictions here and there. For foreigners, they can purchase their alcohol any place they like. We have liquor stores, licensed actually and legally run. In hotels and restaurants, that's not even a question. It's run like you are in Europe or anything. The small restriction is more toward Moroccans. For instance, the Moroccans are not allowed to drink in the wide open. Let's say drinking a beer on the street or something. They cannot be served wine or alcohol during Ramadan, 3 days before and 3 days after, or any religion holiday. Beside this, even as Muslim or Moroccan, they're not going to ask you that question, because if your name is Azuddin or Mohammed, automatically you are Muslim. So but they will serve you during regular time. So it's in 2 days we're gonna be having the birthday of Mohammed. Say Muslims will not be drinking. So that's the kind of restrictions.
Okay, and from a cuisine point of view, I know Morocco's famous for its food. So Moira's already intimated that at the end of itineraries, if clients so choose, they can come back to your farm, which is very gracious of you as well. And cooking classes are available. So I would assume those options are available not just at your farm, but basically throughout an itinerary. And of course, dining would be part of any itinerary we would create, correct, Moira? And/or Azuddin and Marie?
Absolutely. Honestly, the food options here are fantastic. As you mentioned, not just in Marrakech, but people can do cooking classes all over. But what I love about the cuisine here is the freshness of the ingredients, and you can taste it in the food. It really is wonderful.
And eating on the street, I guess, would be recommended, and it's not going to be a health concern, I don't say issue, but and again, I only mean that by any food anywhere else in the world is always treated a bit differently, and your stomach might not be used to it. So I'm not inferring anything horrible about eating on the street with any country, but I would, I know this in Thailand, one of the big attractions is eating the street food. So I would assume that it'd be the same suggestion for Morocco, getting out there and trying true local food.
Yeah, the yes, you are absolutely right. You have to be careful, but the street food is very very common in Morocco. People love eating outside, and the food is great. Actually, as the Sina Voyage, we run a foodie tour that I lead myself. So I take
Nice.
people to places where I grew up, eating, and so it's really delicious and good. But yes, you have to be careful, and you have to, especially coming from North America, our stomach is very fragile. So we have to.
So that is why Goway always recommends private touring, because you'll go out with a local, and this is for any country, not just Morocco, who knows where to go, where not to go, more importantly.
Exactly.
And you can be guided from a cuisine point of view or any point of view to the best that each particular country can offer.
Yep.
Okay, so that's a pretty good overview of Morocco. Of course, we could talk 4 hours on all the things you could do, but we don't have hours, unfortunately. But what I would like to touch on before we say goodbye is a question to Moira from a Goway point of view, and then to Azzedine and Marie from a Morocco point of view. So, Moira, do we have any, new ideas, new product coming up? Are we just working on what's been successful? I know we would have what's successful. We always sell what's successful. But is there anything new and exciting coming up from the product side of things for Goway?
I'm so glad you asked me. In fact, we have a number of things. We've been working very closely with Marie and Azzedine in terms of new offerings. I think the one that is proving to be really popular is our Morocco Odyssey. So this is a range, as you would know, of small group touring, maximum, I think in Morocco it's maximum 14. And what we do here is you're tour-led, locally tour-led, and we take you to all the special places. We include wonderful food options, and you really get the best taste of Morocco, and it's fantastic for couples or for singles. So that's.
And I think sorry to interrupt there, Maura. I think it's key to point out too, for our travel partners out there, that these Odysseys are guaranteed departures as well.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for raising it.
Yes.
The other one is when I came back after visiting Marie last year, is we put together this wonderful itinerary called Morocco and Surrounds, and literally everything that I described earlier, plus a visit to the High Atlas Mountains, as well as one of the closest deserts to Marrakech is a place called Agafay. So that we did, and that's a 7-day itinerary for somebody who's only got a shorter time. And then what we've also looked at, which I don't know that Morocco's that well known for, but we also have an itinerary called Morocco for Families. And then what Azzedine spoke about is we have Morocco for Foodies. So we have a really, really wonderful range of Moroccan product.
Yes,
Literally.
and now we are working also on a new tour on wellness in Morocco with yoga sessions every day.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yoga, hammam, massage,
Yes.
food. So
Hiking, walking, beautiful.
yeah, anything that makes people feel well.
Yes.
Well, that's good, because I was going to point out, to me, most people, when they think wellness, they immediately go to massage and yoga, which of course that is, and I'll never say no to a good massage. But to me, wellness is also, as Marie just mentioned, getting outside in the outdoors and taking a comfortable walk around, obviously in this instance, something like the Atlas Mountains, which would be amazing. So from the same question to a degree from the Moroccan side for Azzedine and Marie, is there anything other than the product we just mentioned, anything new coming up for Morocco as a country, tourism as well, but just as a country, anything exciting happening in the near future?
Well, the excitement is never stops in Morocco, because it's really,
There's always new things.
it's always new things. As you know, Morocco is organizing the African Cup in 25, and also the World Cup in 2030.
2030.
And
Oh, wow.
this is like Morocco in general. So we have a young minister who's trying to come up with some few plans here and there, and it's very exciting. From our end as Cine Voyage, Moira mentioned already the programs that we are working on and coming up with, but we are very lucky to have this partnership with the Goway, because they always, seek new things from us and make us work hard to get few things, so we are very, very excited, and we always make this really fun, and to organize all these things, and hopefully 25 will come up with new things for us.
And I would add that with the World Cup that will come in 2030, there's like a lot of new construction, stadiums, hotels, like they are working on
all the infrastructure
and things like that. So Morocco is like a kind of a booming now. Yes.
Nice. Okay.
Project.
So based on those two events alone, for those out there, obviously groups for any football, soccer event would be, and of course the World Cup.
But there's also a film festival. There's a marathon. There's like lots of things that are happening also.
So music. Also, we have a sacred music in Fez festival. We have also Date Festival in the south, in the Sahara of Morocco. And so there is always things that are happening in Morocco, and we're trying to work around those events to create, nice itineraries for customers.
Okay. So you can see from a group's point of view, there's lots of focused subject matter out there, anything from date to music to sport, of course, and if not a group, you might be into that, and that's something that can be arranged. I think what's key there too, I sort of mentioned when I asked Moira the question of what's new for Morocco coming up, we always have, the best sellers, what people expect from any country there. But I think one good thing about Goway and one of its keys to success is we always look beyond the expected, and are always trying with our local partners to come up with new and exciting itineraries for whatever country it may be. And as you can see by our expertise, Moira being there pretty much every year, she's learning more and more about Morocco, and as such expanding the itinerary options. So on that note, I'd like to thank Azzedine, Marie and Moira. Moira, when do you head back? It's got to be tomorrow or something, I guess, back to Toronto?
Day after, 2 days.
So it's Sunday or something. So Moira will be back in the Toronto office, away from the beautiful scenery, the Atlas Mountains, and nice warm weather as we start heading into fall here in Canada. But as you can probably gather by our conversation today, Morocco is just over the water, over the pond, so to speak, closer than Europe, literally. So it's great for that quick getaway from the East Coast, of course, a bit longer from the West Coast. But that short 1 week trip, a longer stay of 2 weeks would be ideal, of course. Easy add-on to any European Goway itinerary that you're looking at, or in reverse, do Morocco, then add a couple of days in Paris on your way home, or London, as the case may be. It's got everything from coast, be it Atlantic, Mediterranean, to the Sahara Desert, camel safaris, trekking the world-famous Atlas Mountains. The culture is second to none. It's unique for Africa. It's unique in the world, I'd hazard to guess. So it's got something for everyone, literally from the 3-star to the 5-star, private transfers, small groups, set departures with Goway. It's got it all, and it's literally, as I just mentioned, over the pond. So again, thank you very much, Azzedine, Marie and Moira, for your time in sunny Morocco. Thank you, everyone, for listening in today, and we will talk to you all soon. Thanks very much.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Don.
Thank you, Don.